Hello. Hope everybody's having a good day. Wanted to start the Mecha tutorials during this holiday season. Got Thanksgiving today, and for those in America. Yeah, wanted to start showing something about mecha design. So, yeah, and this has all sorts of different kind of mecha to draw. But what I like to do is kind of start out with like a basic frame, and or you can also kind of plan out how you want your mecha to be standing. Kind of, here would be the different parts where the joints are going to be. Where your arms and hands, and if you're doing a humanoid, if you're doing like a spider tank or something, you can also kind of basically plot it out like this. But I like to take and plot out where a lot of the different parts are going to be, and just kind of drawing the frame first. These are based off of kind of some designs I have that I'm still developing and working on. But yeah, I like having a lot of big actuators kind of on the outside. I need to learn how to make more complex ones, but like you see here in the leg, let's see, can you see that in frame? Yeah. So right here where I'm drawing, right in the frame, I actually need to move this guideline over because it's a little bit off. Yeah, it's okay to move these lines, kind of figure out where everything needs to go. And once you draw your characters or your mecha, or various machines, more and more you'll figure out what parts belong where and whatnot. When you're first figuring it out, just kind of draw basically what you want them to look like, and then you can figure out all the like really cool looking details, later. Yeah, and here I try to, like for the torso, I like to have a segmented torso on mine. And a lot of this is motivated by the characters that for my world building I'm doing, which I need to make more videos and start talking about world building because I really love doing that. And there's a big universe I'm building, and I think I've mentioned it before. I want to get into the world building aspect, but this will be a quick video today too, because I have to go to Thanksgiving dinner with family, and then my plan is to try and get out more videos every day. Oh, I did the actuators wrong there. Okay, so we're gonna change the arm where the arms are placed because. So to give an example, really quick, this I'll shift this over. You can still see the shoulder here. So in my mecha, if you have, I'll draw a front view here. You would have, pardon me. Yeah, oops, it's supposed to be a circle. But you have this actuator here, And this whole, and then, oh, sorry, there's also a actuator drive in the middle here, and then there's also a connecting one here, internal, although I might make those external later. But so this whole section here, including this actuator here and this one here, oh, and the internal one here, this is all one big assembly. I don't know what the actual term is in mechanics. I need to figure that out. So the way this works is if the arm were to rotate up, like if you're pointing up at something, then what would happen? Am I still in frame? Okay. What would happen is this, kind of draw this 3D. This actuator would rotate like this. Used to not do that on my designs, but I started doing it because it gives it'll give my mecha characters more flex or more range of motion. So, oh, whoops, sorry, I forgot to draw the other important part. So we'll shade that in. So yeah, the reason why I like having all these segmented parts in my mecha design is because the characters, the story I'm building, it centers around both just kind of your traditional, mecha, as far as just pure machines go. So they're tools. Your pilots or drivers are going to climb in and, they'll either have a crew in them or they'll act as like, a big suit, like, Gundam, where it's a single pilot or driver, depending on the branch of service or universe that you watch, and what they call their crew. Oh, I forgot my arms are a lot shorter on these, so we'll just do this. We'll kind of rotate this just slightly. So yeah, I like to have a lot of range of motion for my characters, so that requires all these actuators and everything to move a lot. And I'm still developing these designs. So a lot of this has a lot more mechanical parts that I need to build up around them. So, but when you're designing your characters, just kind of, or your machines, sorry, your mecha. I'll go into these, and I'll go into this in more detail. I think tonight I'll do that. So, just put the parts that you want on there as really kind of basic geometric shapes, and like this, and then just kind of draw who the characters, or the different parts of the character. So, for instance, this mecha here. Oops, man, I think I got that wrong. Oh well. Oh, there we go. That works. Draw your basic shapes, and then it'll give you an idea of basically where everything's supposed to be for your mecha. I like having a lot of antenna and ears and stuff like that coming off my mecha. So, yeah, when you're designing them, this will give you'll have an idea of where everything needs to go. So when you're drawing, whether you're doing perspective or or your character running or walking, or in this case just standing, you have a pretty good idea where everything goes. So yeah, this will have to just have the arm out because I goofed. Like I said, I'll do another tutorial, or I mean, there's going to be more of these, but being a lot more detailed in the design aspects and whatnot. And something I'd love to do is like take Mecha from other IPs that we really love, like BattleTech, for instance. So has a huge BattleTech and Macross nerd. But BattleTech was always a lot of fun because it's a walking tank genre. A lot of people like to try and compare BattleTech and Macross to each other, but they're two very, very separate mecha genre, or mecha type series. But BattleTech, what was fun about them is you'd look at how. Oh, okay. Well, its legs are going to be standing very, very far apart. You look at how they were designing BattleTech, and you can get critical about the art, the early art, and go, oh, a lot of these machine designs don't work. But what's fun about that is you can go through and try to figure out how to make them work and keep that aesthetic, which they did a lot of in basically the soft reboot of the game, especially with BattleTech Online and MechWarrior Online. The mecha designers who they grabbed from the internet, or the art communities online, really did a fantastic job in. Boy, these are really short. This is going to be a weird proportion. I apologize. But I just want to give a basic idea of like, here's what you can do when you're designing your machines. If you'll notice, like I'm not hitting these points here. I'm just adjusting as I go. And this is going to be really funky looking. So we'll make the legs longer. But where was I? I'm probably going to lose my train of thought. I didn't make an outline for this, so I don't have anything to look over at. But yeah, BattleTech. BattleTech was fun because you could. Oh, it's supposed to be over like that. You could go through and make a bajillion different versions of the various mecha, because they're really, the designs were kind of crazy and all over the place. But the reason for that was when BattleTech first got launched, they just they said, we're gonna make the kind of mecha universe we'd like to see, and but it's gonna be centered around big, stompy robots, walking tanks. And the artist that they got, it was a friend of theirs, and he wasn't, they just need somebody who could, remotely create machines. And so he said, sure, I'll do it. And, you got to have respect for that. The guy was like, yeah, we're just making this game. We don't know where it's going to go, but I'll help my friends out. And a lot of his designs, when you go through and you look at those, they're fun to look at. It was just a dude helping out his friends. And doing the best he could, and a lot of those designs are pretty iconic. But what was cool is if you look at the reboot of those in the new mecha designs, especially the molds for the minis, or you look at BattleTech Online or MechWarrior Online, a lot of mecha designers were inspired by his aesthetics. So a lot of armor plating or different pieces of equipment that he would put on there, and they tried to figure out in their own design style what that would look like, or how to translate that to make it look, more modern, much more mechanized, that kind of thing. And and they, it was cool. They did it. They had a really cool end result. So are we? Oh, whoops. That's right. The foot's gotta be like this. And I'm just gonna do a very simple foot. And yeah, so they went through and reinterpreted those. In some cases, you've got some very cool mecha designers came up with some really cool designs that are, very, very realistic, more based on, a lot more modern armor and whatnot. And then you've got guys who went more for the kind of your traditional fantasy, mecha. And I'm gonna have to figure that out. Yeah, I just realized that has to turn. That creates a whole lot of other issues. So, all right. So this should actually be turned this way. So that's just gonna look weird. And yeah, BattleTech's fun to look at, to try to figure out the mechanics, interpret it. But there's a lot of different ways of designing mecha. A lot of different types of machines you can design. You have everything from the very advanced, super fast, very agile mecha, which you tend to see a lot of in anime, or Western pronunciation, anime, and it just depends on the universe you're building. Each of those design types, you can they can advance in generations in technology, and which BattleTech actually has a lot of that. When you look at the machines, some of the earlier designs are supposed to be more advanced than the current designs that they have, and then of course later on they become faster and more heavily, or have better composite type armors and stuff like that. And a lot of that's reflected in the game, but yeah, the hands I have not quite worked out, so I'm just gonna throw something in here. Yeah, so you have a lot of different types of mecha that you can design depending on what you want to do, and they're all a lot of fun to try and figure out. Series I haven't watched, but I've had it recommended to me multiple times, is Gurren Lagann, and that show is crazy. Its mecha designs are nuts, but it's really more about rule of cool. It's sometimes that's all it is. It's like, don't have an explanation about why these look the way they do, and I mean maybe Gurren Lagann does, and then there's my favorite genre is, but that wrist should be broken. That's a machine. We can explain it that way. That wrist is at a crazy angle. So you can really design things however you want. Whether you're going for like very realistic, you're going for real cool, you're doing a combination of both. I kind of like doing a combination of both. It's it's fun. It's fun to do that. Don't worry if you don't have everything figured out or explained about how the mecha. Oh, sorry, the detail is not clear on this at all. Yeah, this is gonna get lost. That's okay. We'll figure it out. Oh, when it comes to hands and feet, sorry, I'll get back on what I was saying. If you want to, okay, if you want to, one of the things you can do that'll be real easy is let's recreate this here. See, I put a little. Also helps to have some extra lines in here so you can kind of define where things are at. So this, if you want to, and you do this in life drawing too, you can just, for a simple hand, or the shape of a hand, you can do this kind of thing. Come up with a really simple shape, something that you understand, and something that it can be this, and then you go, okay, this is the thumb, and basically it's so you know where it's at, approximately. So this is just basically the internal kind of basic frame, and the idea with this is that you can take these designs and let's say, I do not have my other pins out. Oh, wait, here. So you can take this and go, well, if I have armor on this arm, we'll put like a real simple boxy, let's go stay with that. Kind of boxy armor. On here. Then what you can do is, let's say you got armor plates that protect the side of the arm here. Then you'll know, we'll just put some generic plates in here. Then you'll know that, well, this is the position that these armor plates should be in because the arm is swinging up like this. And so it's going to push these plates up. So when you get this frame like this, it helps you out so that when you're mounting your other armor pieces on, it'll help you understand like where everything's at. Or if you're gonna, let's take the arm again. Actually, here, let me start that over and try again. So, wow, that's really ugly. Perspective lines are very off. So you've got this piece here, and let's say you just want to, you're like, I like this shape, and I want to mount an armor piece to the frame, right? So you would know that armor piece has to look like this. And oops, well, that's coming way off there. Oh well. Okay, this is kind of all over the place, but I hope this gets kind of the basic idea across of like, here's this armor piece that we've mounted onto the frame of the Mecha, and we know approximately how big it should be. We should know it's, you know, the perspective of the piece. Put in the actuator drive here, or the elbow actuator drive. You have the little wrist there, or wrist actuator drive. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So you can start mounting. So you think of this as like your, this is really huge, but you can think of this as like your basic frame when you're in your design mode or design phase, and you know, you get to where you like the frame that you have, and then you start prototyping, mounting all the different armor and equipment on there, and gives you an idea like their range of motion, where everything can move, what these pieces should look like when you're putting your armor on your mecha. Yeah, so I hope this is just a really quick video, and I plan on doing more, but yeah, so this is just be like a frame. Kind of it helps you also when you're drawing. So if your character's kneeling or if they're standing or running, you can know where to position, you know, how to position the different parts of your machines for their body language, and you know if they're interacting with other objects and whatnot. But yeah, and then so basically for just a quick tutorial, just, you know, figure out your frame, where all your joints are going to be, and then, you know, start mounting your armor pieces on there, and then, you know, continue to develop your mecha from there. So I'll go into more detail in other videos about this, but I have to get going because we've got dinner coming up. So all right, hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving for those here in the States, and you know, for everyone else, I hope you have a great great Thursday. So yeah, take care. All right, love everybody. Bye.